Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, class. This is Professor Coyote. Welcome you to another Let's Play. Now, as I said in my other videos with the Civ 6 video, I'm actually going to be starting a Europa Universalis 4 Let's Play. But this first video, I just want to give a couple of overviews of some of the changes that have happened in the new DLC, Rights of Man. I'm not actually going to be giving a full-on tutorial on EO4 like I'm doing with Civ 6. In fact, there's actually been a really good one that's being started by Arumba. I'm going to put the link to that into the doobly-doo. That way you can get a good tutorial on how to play EU4 by somebody who's really good at it. But for this, at least this first video, I'm just going to go over some of the new changes. For this will be like more a video more for the more experienced EU4 player. I will go over some basic concepts, but for now we're gonna go right into it. As I said, I'm planning on doing a full Ethiopia run, so this is actually one I've started just to kind of mess around with the new things. I'll get into the restart on that when we start our videos. So we'll go right into it. Gotta wait a little bit here while it's initializing and thinking. But while we're waiting, so EU4 is of course the fourth iteration in Paradox Studios' massive Europa Universalis game. It's a game a lot like Civ or Rise of Nations or things like that. It's where you're taking on a country and you're trying to expand, explore, and take out your rivals, that kind of thing. One of the things that's actually big on EU4 is, unlike Civ, this happens in quick time. It's not just take your turn, wait for everybody to go. Once you hit that pause button and it starts the game, then it's going to go. You have to keep on for the ride. Of course, you can adjust the game speed and pause it to make a few moves, but it's going on. Once it starts in 1444, it will go to 1820 unless you quit, save out, that kind of thing. So normally, you would be taking one of the great powers up here in Europe, but especially with Rights of Man and how they've tweaked things, you can always take over any country that exists or at the time. It starts in 1444, so you've got a lot of the regional, sub-micro, kind of tribal countries gone out there. Like, for instance, you can see that Ethiopia here is more of like the classic Ethiopia, and it's got a couple of neighbors, Alodia, Makuria, Adai, Kapa, that kind of thing. So with that, you will build your armies, you'll go out, you'll fight them, you'll have allies, you have your trading going out there, converging through missionaries, that sort of thing. Now, what makes EU kind of hard to get into at first, and why I would really recommend that tutorial, is it is micromanagey and it's complex. You have all sorts of tabs here that do each sort of thing, the court itself, the government, diplomacy, trade, all the way down to, with most countries, having to micromanage which of these major adult groups gets part of the land. And if they don't get it, they're not happy. That's something they put in a couple of DLCs ago. But from there, well, I mean, actually, the cool part about the micromanaging thing on this, I've noticed, is it gives it a sort of personality to the countries. In fact, my wife has called it Sims for history nerds. Just the way I describe how, oh, this country did this, and this country made this dumb mistake, and my country is being an idiot, or doing amazingly, that kind of thing. Because you micromanage it to the point where, like I said, each of these countries seems to develop a personality. And oh, Yemen's trying to get on my case here, or the Ottomans are the big bad always, that kind of thing. And it's just kind of fun for that. It gets you deeper into it and lets you role play a little as you want. And just makes it all that more of a rich experience for me. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to go into a little bit on what changes they've made with this new DLC, and that'll give us some context as to some of these things that I'm going to be monkeying around with when we start the campaign in Ethiopia. So the first thing that's to change here, we're going to go tab by tab, is right here in the court, it shows your leader, in this case the Negusa Nagast Zara Jacob Solomanoid, head of the Solomanoid dynasty and big old Grand Poobah of Ethiopia. And not only do they have their usual stats here, the diplomacy, the administration, and military, but they now have personalities. That's what this pie chart here, it says that each certain block of time, they get some new trait. He's Zealot, which gives missionary strength, and Righteous, which gives yearly legitimacy. And that gives more things to give your country that much more personality and strengths and weaknesses based off of your country. And just for the leaders, their heirs, they start developing these things too. Like, he's fertile. As soon as he becomes into power, you'll be able to get a new heir really quickly. Now, the important thing here, in this new consort section right now, meaning that who you marry, your queens, kings in the obverse, they'll have their own powers too. They'll add their own powers. They'll actually mean something now. And another good thing that they've changed here is these two buttons. This one, you can show it. That shows you can abdicate your ruler. Finally, instead of just having to have him go be a general and hope they die, you could kick them out if they've been at least 60 or they've been around for 20 years, and they're just like Baheda Miriam here is probably somebody I don't want to have rule because he's only a 1/2/1, whereas his dad is 6/5/5. So I might actually push this disinherit, although that'll tweak my prestige, and that's already way low as it is. So we'll see how that goes. So that's one big change, is the ability to actually get rid of lousy rulers. That's a big change. The next here is we've got the government thing, which actually it splits out here from the court, since now they've actually got this court thing. Actually, the government gets a lot more big deals. You see here that there's the type, like they've had before, that you can go from an empire to any sort of these kind of types and upgrade, but then again, they're already an empire, so you wouldn't be able to upgrade it. But you can finally strengthen the legitimacy with some spending of monarch points, and that's great. That's a good way to up that legitimacy of times where you think you might have gotten a lousy ruler because he's got a weak claim, and now you can help instead of just waiting for it to uptick. There's these new cultures here that there's going to be a lot more to do. As you can see, you can promote certain cultures which give them a value. There'll be these non-accepted cultures that you can basically kind of get a push that, yes, we'll accept them, or at least we aren't hating them. Diplomacy is just about the same. There's a few new things in this great power construct that once you get to one of the 8 great powers in diplomacy, you get this whole new section of stuff. Finally, here you get to see that, at least with you or with other countries, that you can see what kind of missions they've taken, actually written out instead of trying to guess what these symbols are. It explains a little bit more about the ideas in a little bit. And here on the economy tab, they've actually expanded the loans. Not only has the loan thing been cleaned up, that makes it a lot easier to just make a guess on whether you want to take one, how you clean it up, or replay them all, they've got this new thing called debasing. You can basically devalue your currency to get a quick kind of loan to you, but it ups your corruption. Which, corruption can be kind of a big pain in the butt. But if you need some cash and don't want to take a loan, you can up the corruption a little bit and help take that out. Trade's about the same. Tech. Now the big thing here, and this is actually what's really cool to play a non-European country, is now instead of what used to be, they had this thing that if you weren't a European power, you'd have to westernize, which was a humongous PITA that it would often just cripple you for about good 20 to 30 years in game while you waited to catch up with the Europeans. But now they've got this institutions idea. So basically, as these great ideas come about, like feudalism, the Renaissance, colonialism, and the like, if you don't take them, they start adding up to this, penalty to your tech, but it's not a huge penalty. It goes bigger the longer you go against these ideas, but it's not crippling like it used to be. Like, some of the African techs were 60 to 80% more, and some of the Asian ones were almost 100%, to the point where if you didn't play a European power, you were just achievement hunting. You were clearly just going out for your own thing. You didn't think you were going to conquer the world, and now it actually puts them a little bit on a more even keel, because even the European powers have to embrace these ideas. So it balances that way too, that the European countries who don't take Renaissance when it pops out in minimum 1450, then it goes on like that. The spread will naturally actually start happening anyway, which will make it cheaper to actually embrace it. You get benefits for that, and you can see here, it just keeps going up till near the end of the game with the Enlightenment. And that is one of the biggest things with Rights of Man. Not only giving the great powers and the personalities to your leader, but this institution thing that finally scraps what is universally thought of as one of the biggest annoyances about EU4, was that westernization nonsense. The ideas here are still about the same. A lot more countries have gotten more fleshed out actual country ideas, so it's not just Western ideas or Asian ideas. Now you see Ethiopian ideas. You look in certain things here. But like the Mamluks will have their own idea. They'll have a Mamlukian idea or Byzantine idea, that kind of thing. That gives, once again, more flavor, more just makes it fun to play other countries. And we'll go and at the beginning of the game, we'll go over what the Ethiopian ideas are when we start that up. But it's just that's the next one there. The missions are about the same. There's not really any big things. They might have taken out a couple of missions here and there, but that's about it. Stability. On this one, actually, what's interesting is the rebels area. As you can see here, they've actually started saying out how big of likely it's which ones they're going to probably pop out in. And the big one is how big the rebels are going to be. So you can juggle, I could put that guy off. He's only got a stack of 8. I've got my stack of 20. You know what? I'll come deal with him later. Or, oh, geez, this guy's got a stack of 15 ready to pop out. I need to try and do something, give out more local autonomy, give out that kind of thing, in order to push that, kick that can down the road. So that's really good. Religion here, actually, and this is part of why I also wanted to play Ethiopia, is they have made a few religious things. For instance, Coptic actually seems to be worth something. Whereas each of the other major kind of Christian and some of the Muslim faiths had their kind of back and forth, their specific things. Coptic has this new thing with the sites of power. of holy power. Yeah. So not only when you're playing Ethiopia do you have your standard try to take over Alexandria and Jerusalem and Constantinople, but you want to take some of these holy sites, Iskandria, Antioch, that kind of thing, because they'll give you access to blessings. And what these blessings are, in fact, let me see here if I can get back into it. But the blessings give you certain benefits. Like here's giving me, I've got now a plus 2.5% discipline. There'll be other ones similar to that give Coptic faith actually something to actually play for. In fact, here we are. That's what I was looking for. So they'll show you the sites, where you need to go, who currently holds it, and these blessings, like nearly legitimacy plus 5. I mean, they're not big. It's 10% manpower, 1.5% missionary strength, core creation cost. But at least it gives the Coptic faith in this game just, once again, new flavor, new something to get going. And that's really nice. And once again, that allows you to go, hey, maybe I will take that country that, it's always been kind of, they hadn't seemed too great in the past, but now, at least they got something to try for. Military is basically about the same. They've kind of, ever since the forts, it's been just kind of left in there. You still have the subjects and you still have the estates. There are certain ones that still don't have estates, like I believe Byzantium, because they're all about the patriarchy. Luckily, don't have to deal with estates, but Coptics do, so I'll have to deal with that in the future. And then one major other change here, you've got some of them with the tooltips show up, like this will actually show you how the estates are in the overview here. So that's always good, so you don't have to keep going back to your thing. Let me just check really quick here. I had a list, actually. Okay. Well, yeah, that's actually about all the big changes here going into Rights of Man. And that's what we're going to be going into. We're going to be going into now, next video, to actually restart Ethiopia here. And we're going to go over just basically some of their ideas, how it goes, and then we're just going to go from there. I'm going to be actually trying to go for the 2 major achievements with Ethiopia. Because there was always the Prester John one, that was the one I was mentioning, that you needed to core Alexandria, known as Al-Kahir, while it's under the Mamluks, and Al-Quds, which will become Jerusalem. And then, you can't see it right now because of the fog of war, but Constantinople. So if you take all 3 of those and core them, and we'll go over what the coring thing will do, then you get the achievement Prester John. It basically, you've shown, hey, the Coptic faith is super awesome and is a force to be reckoned with. But with this Rights of Man DLC and the new increase in the Coptic faith, they have a new achievement. It's, let me see if it's listed in here. Okay, well, I don't have, that's right, I don't have them all do be an Iron Man, but the achievement goes, take all 5 blessings, meaning you need to have all of those places cored and taken. As you can see, I've only got 1 of the 5th, and once these all 5 fills up, then that's another achievement. So I'm going to be trying to go for both achievements at the same time in this first campaign. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to do an Iron Man because if I'm achievement hunting, I'll have to go through it. If we fail, then I'll just start over, and we'll just see how it goes. Maybe I'll do a different one, and, I think that we'll have a fun ride on this. So I've got these 4 areas I need to go for, in addition to the traditional 3 with Ethiopia. And then we'll see how far I can spread out amongst Africa and maybe even go into India. We'll see how it goes. We've got just under 400 years to see how far we can take Ethiopia to being the true empire it was always meant to be. And maybe we'll have a nice good old historical irony and we'll have Ethiopia take over Italy. Haha, won't that be fun? All right, so that's what we're going to do in our next video. We're going to start our Ethiopian campaign, and I hope that you got some interest in how the things are going to be changing. We're going to be discussing some of those and seeing how we juggle the numbers in the future. Look for the link to Roomba's tutorial in the doobly-doo here. And I hope you have a very wonderful rest of your day, and class dismissed.